Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Just spent the first 2.5 minutes spilling my guts to you great people. So obviously it's December 4th. We're getting ready for this Packers-Bears matchup as the Green Bay Packers are going to be hosting the Chicago Bears. 3:25 kickoff on Sunday at Lambeau Field. Going to be an absolute blast. Excited to dive into everything in regards to this matchup. And really what it comes down to, guys, is turnover margin. We've talked about that every single game, every single Sunday. The team that protects the football, the team that takes the ball away, they're the team that's going to win, right? So when you look at some of the other numbers in this matchup between the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers, and you dive into the tape, what you notice is the Chicago Bears running game. It is one of the best running schemes, one of the best run games in the entire league. They've really had to lean on it with Caleb Williams struggling to play quarterback, with some of the more important analytics when you dive into, okay, how effective is he? Many people on the surface will look at the touchdown to interception ratio and think, oh, he's playing great. Really not the case. And you're seeing more and more people notice it now across the league that cover the league. Although the mainstream media that like to protect the large market teams, they'll point out that Caleb Williams is just playing lights out. He's great. They don't want to hear any of the EPA talk. They don't want to hear about any of the adjusted completion percentage. They don't want to hear about the completion percentage, which is wild to think about because for so long they have leaned on their passer rating and all that stuff that these mainstream sports media love in terms of statistics, but they do not want to touch it right now when it comes to Caleb because it will beat down one of their largest market teams and showing that, hey, maybe they missed on their quarterback. With all that being said, Chicago's running game is so good. They've got a two-headed monster in Monangai. You've got obviously DeAndre Swift, a more established back. They're running the hell out of the football. On the other side, you get the Green Bay Packers who are playing really, really, really good run defense. Right. They're a borderline top 5 run defensive team. We're going to talk about the players that need to step up and the players who have already stepped up and shutting down Jahmyr Gibbs last week, who we'll compare them. We'll say, okay, is Chicago's running game as good as Detroit's? We'll show you some of the statistics and why Jahmyr Gibbs is, I think, a much more talented back, a much more efficient back than the two-headed monster in Monangai and obviously DeAndre Swift. So we'll dive into all that. If you guys would do that YouTube stuff for me, hit like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning into PTA, welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your morning. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media members. We're fans just like you talking Packers on a daily basis. So if you're looking for that type of content, make sure you hit subscribe and click that bell icon so you're notified when we go live in the future. Let's waste no time. Let's get into it. I see the chat. First of all, shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank y'all for letting me know that we were muted there. I apologize for that. We'll edit it out for the video so people don't have to deal with that. But let's do it. Actually, it's time to give a shout out to Cam in the chat who says, hey, morning from your Amazon Packers delivery guy. Appreciate you out there keeping this Christmas season going. Cam, appreciate you so much, man. Let's do it. Let's get into it. Here we go. So Chicago Bears rush offense, right? When you look at their average in terms of yards per carry, all right, this is yards per rush during the 2025 season. They are currently ranked 5th, tied for 5th with Washington at 4.9 yards per rush, okay? They're only behind the Buffalo Bills, the Baltimore Ravens, the Detroit Lions, and the Indianapolis Colts. Now, again, as Packer fans, if you're a Bears fan watching this video, you got to understand where we're coming from. All we heard last week was Jahmyr Gibbs is going to run all over your ass. That's all we heard all week long. We've seen the highlights of him running all over the New York Giants and how he took over that game. And he's going to dominate the Green Bay Packers and their run defense. Well, they are second best at 5 yards per carry, average yards per rush here in the entire league. And you've seen what the Packers defense did to them last week. That doesn't mean the Packers are going to be able to shut down the Bears rushing offense the same way, because each team is looking to play off of what you've seen the previous 2 head-to-heads and the previous 4-game saturation of said opponent, right? So when you look at it, though, Detroit was running the ball a little more effectively than Chicago. Again, you're only talking about 1/10 of a yard in terms of, 1/10 of a yard, technically speaking, in terms of yards per carry. Right now, when you dive into the PFF grades, let's cross-check that. How does PFF see the Bears running game, right? DeAndre Swift, offensive grade 74.7. Kyle Monangai, 70.2. Both very, very good numbers, right? Very good numbers. When you look at their run grades, 77.4 for DeAndre Swift, 77.6 there. Now, if you were to cross-check that, we're not going to take the time to do it here. Actually, we can do it. That's only numbers I really want to pull up. Let's see if we could jump over real quick to the lines and show you guys if I can get it on the screen. My goodness. All right. Now you'll notice Jahmyr Gibbs here for the Lions, however, right, is 90.4. Last I checked, he's the highest graded running back in the entire National Football League. So again, big difference between DeAndre Swift, 74.7, and Jahmyr Gibbs at a 90.4. The running grade, 87.5 to a 77.4. The big thing about Chicago is when their lead back comes out of the game, they don't really miss a beat. Some would say they get better with Monangai. Doing the watch party last week between Chicago and Philadelphia, that's the thing that stood out to me was Monangai is just as good as Swift. So that's something that the Packers defense has got to take into account. As where when Gibbs comes out, maybe I think was it Montgomery, I believe, that's still there. Whoever their backup running back is in Detroit, actually we should be able to see it right here. David Montgomery, 67.5. You've seen significant drop off, right? Still a good backup running back, but it's kind of like with the Green Bay Packers. When Josh Jacobs comes out of the game and Emmanuel Wilson comes in, we've seen Emmanuel Wilson step up big time this year. And what that allows you to do is it allows you as an offense to not be predictable, right? To remain a little unpredictable for the defense. So again, we faced a better back last week and shut him down. Doesn't mean you're going to shut down the Bears running game, but it just shows you that the Packers are kind of built for this type of matchup, right? So if we do shut down the running game for the Chicago Bears, what's their backup plan? Is it to let Caleb sit in the pocket? Because I think their plan is going to be try to establish a run and boot action off of that and utilize Caleb Williams' ability to scramble, his elite ability to play action, especially on some of those outside zone run setups. Right now, let's jump over to the rushing stats. You're going, okay, Clayton, I could care less about the team rankings. Okay, that's cool. I could care less about the PFF grades. Okay, got it. Let's jump into yards per carry. This is where the rubber meets the road in terms of running the football. You'll notice here, this is across the entire National Football League. Jahmyr Gibbs leads the league at 5.8 yards per carry. Second is Jonathan Taylor, 5.7. Devon Achane, 5.6. James Cook, 5.3. Josh Allen, quarterback, 5.2. Bijan Robinson, 5.1. J.K. Dobbins, 5. Then you've got Monangai at 4.9. You got to go down a couple more spots, actually just one more spot, to DeAndre Swift at a 4.8. So they're averaging 4.8 yards per carry. So when you look at the yards per carry, they are legit 2 top 10 running backs, which tells me that offensive line's playing their ass off, right? So again, you got 2 top 10 running backs, although Jahmyr Gibbs has been lighting it up this year in terms of yards per carry. A little bit of a drop off, but a two-headed monster there, no doubt about it. Now, I was trying to see if Caleb Williams would be on here. It's qualified rushers only, so I don't know if he's got quite enough rushes you would think he would, but I just want to see what he's averaging per carry because he has been pretty effective. Let me see if I can locate that real quick. Let's just go to Chicago. Bang. All right, so that's just running backs. Obviously, let's move the qualified. So Caleb Williams is averaging 5 yards a carry, okay? So just to kind of put that into perspective, he has carried the ball. Is that real? Has he really carried the ball 61 times this year? That's a wild stat if he has. Okay, so anyway, 5 yards a carry for Caleb Williams. So again, his scrambling ability is going to play a role in it. And keep in mind too, guys, when we talk about that yards per carry, yards per rush, sometimes the quarterback inflates that number if they're averaging 7 yards a carry or something like that, right? In this case, Caleb's right around that mark, so he's not inflating it too much, which shows you the running backs are playing really, really good, all right? Now, let's switch gears. What does the Green Bay Packers run defense look like? How do they match up against the Chicago Bears, right? So the Packers are currently sitting tied in the let's see here, number 5 spot with the Detroit Lions at 3.9 yards per carry allowed. All right. So the Green Bay Packers are the 5th best running defense at 3.9 yards per carry allowed. Now, I was trying to think here. The Bears played the Eagles last, right? So what does Philly's run defense look like? Because they ran the ball pretty effectively last week, right? Well, looky here, guys. The Philadelphia Eagles are ranked tied for 21st in the league in run defense, yards per carry allowed. They're giving up 4.5 yards per carry allowed. All right. So big difference, right, from Green Bay's 5th best. So again, when you look at this matchup as a whole, what you're noticing is the Green Bay Packers are a much better run defense than the Philadelphia Eagles. This feels a lot like, and I'm going to say it, it feels a lot like the week before when everybody was saying Detroit was going to run all over Green Bay. because they ran all over the Giants, right? Well, look where the Giants are ranked, guys. Dead last in the league in yards per carry allowed, 5.8. So again, every week is a different matchup. And again, schematically, what do the Bears do? In terms of personnel, right? They're running 11 personnel, 3 wide receiver sets, 56% of the time. And they're playing 12 personnel, which is one running back, 2 tight ends, 29% of the time. They're in 13 personnel, 5.9% of the time. And they're in a modified 12 personnel, 3.2% of the time. So the moral of the story is roughly 55% of their snaps should be out of 11 personnel, 3 wide receiver sets. That all is kind of I don't know. It all matters in terms of how the game's flowing as well, right? If you're down by 10 points, you're probably going to press into 11 personnel and throw the ball more than if you're leading, right? If it's a close game, you may see a higher number than that 29% at 12 personnel, right? Which are typically rundown situations. Now, when you look at their EPA out of each of those, right? Where are they doing the most damage? EPA per pass out of 11 personnel, they're at a 0.08, okay? And that's kind of middle of the pack, bottom half of the league. When you go to EPA per rush, however, 0.16. So they run the ball pretty effectively out of 11. When they go into 12 personnel, they pass the ball better than they run the ball out of 12 personnel, a positive 0.02. Their rush, EPA per rush, is a negative 0.04 for the Chicago Bears. So what you're seeing is they're more effective at running the ball out of 11 personnel. Make that mental note. That's probably where they're getting their most yards per carry. When they're in 12, they're not as effective, although I wouldn't say they're horrible. They're still probably in the top half of the league, really probably top 5 in the league in that regard. The moral of the story is when they're in 11 personnel, guys, don't just assume they're passing the football. Probably going to try to run the ball, right? So that's something that's going to come into factor as well. Now, we showed you where Green Bay ranks. They rank 5th in run defense. Let's talk about the players, according to PFF, who were stopping the run. All right, run defense grade, top of the list, Xavier McKinney. All right, you got Xavier McKinney at safety. Nate Hobbs, I say minimal snaps. He's played 290 snaps. He's back at practice. He may be playing corner. That's one of those guys that even though he plays cornerback, this might be the week that you want to play Hobbs over Carrington Valentine, seeing that you got the running game that you got with Chicago. You guys know I'm the biggest Carrington Valentine fan there is. I hope that Carrington Valentine's out there, but I can understand if the coaches go, you know what, let's get the better run defender out there. If he's not rusty and if he's fully healthy, I think it's a stretch that we see him. Keyshawn Nixon, the other corner, 78.4 run defense. Look at his tackle grade, 84.8. That's good to know. When they try to run those outside zone stretch plays, things like that out of Ben Johnson's offense, Keyshawn's going to be out there helping patrol that, right? Next on the list, Evan Williams with a 76.9, our other safety. Now, it's important to note, too, there is no true free or strong safety in the Packers defense. I said this 2 years ago on the pod. The league is kind of changing. Those safeties have to be very interchangeable now. No longer is it the day of, all right, that's the thumper, that's the strong safety in the box, that's the spur. This guy's going to be the field side safety. He's going to be the post safety. He's going to be the free safety. Now those guys mix and match. It's just nice to know that both of our safeties are good run defenders. The big one here is Isaiah McDuffie, man, 76.1. He has played so damn good. So what you've got is your DBs are playing really good run defense. It's one of the main reasons that your run defense has been so good is those spur safeties and outside corners being able to play the run a little bit more. Not so much with Carrington Valentine here lately, obviously. That's his weak spot. But with Keyshawn and then, of course, Xavier McKinney, Evan Williams, those guys playing in and around the box from time to time. And on the defensive line, who's holding up who's basically the main factor in terms of stopping the run? It's Rashawn Gary. This is Gary's game to shine. Anybody who's expecting Gary to go out there and get sacks every week, you're not watching the tape. You're not focusing on the scheme. You're not paying attention to what Jeff Hafley is asking these guys to do. He's allowing Micah Parsons to be more of that freelancer, right? The guy who's going to play Joker 1. Then he'll line up in the B gap. Then he'll be in a wide 9. Move him around. Let him go hunt. Gary is helping set the edge. Gary is helping stop the run, even on the interior. He's really, really good at attacking the point of attack, especially if he's got a Sam on his outside shoulder. Attack and shed inside to make the tackle. We've seen it all year long. He's got a 73.8 run defense grade. Next, Edgerrin Cooper, 67.6. LVM probably not going to play in this game. It looks like he's going to be out. He hasn't practiced in quite some time. Or he didn't practice today. Obviously, he tried to go into the game against Minnesota, I believe. And obviously, they said he didn't re-injure the foot, but he obviously something didn't go right there. Micah Parsons, 66.3. That is such a crap grade for Micah Parsons. When you turn on the tape, he had a third down stop and a fourth down stop back to back on run plays. He will be a factor in this run defense this week. And I love that people sleep on his run defense. Absolutely love it. Tyron Hopper been filling in with Quay being out. Tyron Hopper jumping into the 4-3 defense, 66.1. He's been pretty effective there. Good tackle grade, 77.8. It is worth mentioning Micah Parsons' tackle grade is 78.2 as well. Let's cross-check those now to NFL Pro. All right, so we looked at the PFF grades. Let's see who's being a real difference maker here according to NFL Pro in our run defense. We've got it sorted by stops. Again, stops is when a player makes a tackle and that said play, that play that he made the tackle on, results in a negative score, like a negative play in terms of EPA, right? And again, if people don't that are still joking around and don't understand EPA, it takes 2 seconds to study it. I'm not going to explain it. It's a really, really cool metric. Just comparatively speaking across similar situations, this is kind of how this play unfolded. But Edgerrin Cooper, 50 stops on the year. So again, the PFF grade saying Edgerrin Cooper wasn't one of our best run defenses. Here's what's cool. You could click on that number 50 and it'll show you every one of his stops. Also, look at the hustle stops. 15 hustle stops. That means he traveled in one direction. It could be diagonally. It could be, just straight to the ball. 20 yards or more, he had to run to attack the ball carrier, and he was the one who brung the ball carrier down for the stop, which again is considered a negative play in terms of EPA. Quay Walker, 41. Here's what's wild. Isaiah McDuffie's sitting at 36. Notice the snap count difference. McDuffie's only played 326 total snaps. Quay Walker's played 585, and McDuffie's only 5 stops away from him. Stops are a much, much, much more important stat than tackles, okay? Because again, it means so you can get a tackle, you can make a tackle and get in the tackle box score by making a tackle on a 30-yard run. I want to know who's effective at stopping the play and causing a quote unquote negative play, not negative yardage, negative EPA. That is Isaiah McDuffie. So again, if Quay's not 100%, keep McDuffie out there. He's playing his ass off. Look at Micah Parsons, 32 stops, right? Evan Williams, 32 stops. Rashawn Gary, 30 stops. Rashawn Gary's run stop rate is significantly better than Micah's. Micah has 100 more snaps than Rashawn Gary, and Rashawn Gary only has 2 less run stops than Micah Parsons. So again, another great year here for Gary in the run defense. Kobe Wooden, 27 stops. Javon Bullard, 27 stops. These are names you didn't see on that list, right? And again, it's why it's important to cross-check from PFF to NFL Pro, the whole 9 yards. So again, it's just awesome to have access to this type of stuff where you can really dive in and see, all right, who is playing effectively, who's the reason that you are stopping the run here. Turk McGirt in the chat says, Clayton, those hustle plays for Cooper are why I give him a ton of leeway with his quote missed tackles because he's a freak that is able to get there to miss a tackle when the average linebacker won't get there. And also, Turt, I'll add on to that, even though he may miss the tackle when he gets there after sprinting 20 yards across the field, which was nowhere near his assignment, right? Once he gets there, slowing down that ball carrier with the missed tackle too typically allows guys to rally to the ball, right, and make the tackle as well. So let's see here. Doug in the chat. Preach, Clay. Rashawn seems to be playing highly disciplined, selfless ball. He really does, man. And again, nobody cares about it until you stop doing it and the team runs all over you. Then all of a sudden it's what's wrong with the run defense? What's wrong with the run defense? So it's very, very, very important nonetheless. So again, just want to give you guys a quick little update. That's a quick deep dive into how the Chicago Bears running game matches up against the Green Bay Packers run defense. It's going to come down to schematics. It's going to come down to the illusion of complexity with simplicity at its core. It's going to be running different concepts out of similar looks and running similar concepts out of different looks, if that makes sense. If you find a concept that's working really, really well against this Green Bay Packers defense or vice versa against the Chicago Bears defense, you want to continue to run those concepts, but you got to give it out of different formations, different cheat motion, different alignments, different nasty splits, all that stuff to make it look different, but you're still attacking the same space on the field. As we always say, all football is attacking space. and defending space. That's all it is. So it's going to be a fun matchup. Hopefully you guys got a little bit more insight into, okay, here's how this defense matches up against this offense in terms of the running game. It's easy to just look at the overall stats and go, Chicago's got a good running game. They're going to run all over Green Bay. When you dive into it, Green Bay's got a really solid run defense. It's going to come down to who shows up on Sunday, who protects the football, who plays discipline, because Ben Johnson's going to break out some chicanery. That stuff's going to happen, right? Again, like I said, any reverse play, I don't care where the reverse is called, and they will call them. When they call a reverse play, somebody better have their eyes on Caleb Williams because they're looking to throw him the ball. Somebody's got to throw the ball for Chicago because I'm telling you, he is struggling with his accuracy right now. It was all over the Philly tape. You go back and watch the Philly tape, he missed so many open throws. And then he throws to a wide open tight end down the seam on a busted coverage. Everybody's like, look how good Caleb is. Sorry, bud. But when you look at their running game, they're doing really, really good stuff. That offensive line's playing really good football. So it's going to be a fun matchup. The latest installment of the black and blue division, and obviously the oldest rivalry in the NFL, the Green Bay Packers versus the Chicago Bears. I want to hear from you guys in the comments. Let me know if you're watching this video back later. Who do you think has the edge? Do you think Chicago has more of an edge than what we just highlighted here against the Green Bay run defense? Do you think the Green Bay run defense will shut them down just like they did Jahmyr Gibbs? I want to hear from you guys in the comments. Make sure you hit subscribe. Click that bell icon when we go so you're notified when we go live here in the future. I got to run out real quick. We'll be back in a little bit for another pod, I'm sure. We'll be giving you all kinds of breakdowns leading up to this Chicago-Green Bay game. And any news, including the injury report, should drop later. So you guys do me a favor. Smash that like button. Hit subscribe. Click the bell icon. We'll see you guys this afternoon. My name's Clayton. This is PTA. Go, Pack, go.
Here we go.
We're out.
Bye, guys.